let's see, I've got 313 miles and I have 199 miles to go. So what a perfect time to talk about road trips. Hello friends, my name is Colin and I'm actually riding the Street Glide Special down to Tennessee today from Maryland. So I got a little over a 500 mile trip. And I'm thinking, you know what, this is a great time to talk about the ins and outs of road trips. I've been riding since 2006, but I really didn't start riding long distances until around 2016. And since that time, I think I've done close to 15 long distance rides, and I've gone all over the place along the East Coast. I went up to New England, so I went up to New Hampshire, Vermont, upstate New York, Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, that entire area up there. Beautiful country, by the way. I've done Ohio, Virginia, Maryland, obviously, West Virginia, Tennessee. And one thing I realized is the way I was back in 2016 from planning the road trip and the way I am now is like completely different. So I want to give you guys some kind of like tips that I've learned over the years and what's made me kind of more efficient when it comes to road trips. I'm going to talk about two key things here. The main being the personalities. Now when you hear that, like not necessarily like personalities of people, more like, it'll make sense in a second when I talk about it. Then the other thing I'm going to talk about is the things that you put on your bike, the things you wear, you know, from the things you pack. So like from clothing to riding gear, to motorcycle gear, to GPS, communication, music, and then the other things that you have to put into your bike to make a successful road trip. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is kind of personalities and styles. And what I mean by that, you know, you can be friends with somebody, you can be relatives, you can have a brother, you can do anything you want. But if you guys don't see eye to eye on things, it can create that road trip and kind of not make a great experience from it. So are you the type of guy that has to have everything planned? So no matter what you do, you got to have all your stops planned, you got to have your distances planned, you want to know which hotel you're staying at, or are you the type that kind of flies by the seat of their pants and here's a destination, we're just going to go and we're going to find some roads to take them, we don't really care? Well, I fall into that second one, honestly. I'm more of the fly by the seat of the pants. I do plan some things, but it's actually a lot of fun if you just kind of get lost. But it could create a problem if you have somebody that's really inattentive and gung-ho about planning, even if you're really close, and then you don't have that same mentality. So you got to talk to them, you know, talk to the people and kind of find out and compromise a little bit and say, hey, let's try it this way, let's try it this way. You'll be amazed if you just communicate and you talk things through. Here's another one. Are you the type of person that in the morning, so let's say you go to your destination, you stay in a hotel or an Airbnb, whatever you want to do. Are you the type that wants to hit wheels up at 7 a.m. and we're going to get as many miles as we can today? Or are you the type, you know what, I'm in no hurry, man. We're here on a vacation, we're here on a road trip, let's just enjoy it. Well, I've had both those, and you know what's funny is, I mean, the guys that are watching this video, they'll know exactly what I'm talking about, but that doesn't at all, it did not like dampen the atmosphere that we had. We still had a great time, we just compromised a little bit. You know, I don't want to be up at 7 a.m., I'll be the first to admit that. I want to get up, have some coffee, enjoy it, maybe kickstands up at 9. I'm not in any rush. I just want to enjoy my time. But not everybody's like that. Okay, the other part I'm going to talk about today is some of the things I've learned with especially the motorcycle. So you're getting ready for your big road trip. And this could be with your spouse, this could be solo, that you're meeting some people there. But there's like 5 key things I'll touch on. So we'll start with clothing. And this is the biggest thing that I've changed over the years. My friends call me, I'm an overpacker. I'll be the first to admit it, I overpack. So like the first year I went out, I literally, you know, they're like, okay, it's a 7-day ride. I think it was in North Carolina, if I remember right. And it's like, we're going for 7 days. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna need, 6 pairs of pants, 8 pairs of underwear, all these socks. I need a shirt for every day. I need a long sleeve shirt. I need a hoodie. I need a sweatshirt. Let's see, what else do I need? I might go swimming, so I need like a swimsuit. What if I go out at night? I gotta look nice. I want to have like a nice dress shirt. Are you freaking kidding me? So like the first year I did this, I filled up a bag one whole freaking bag just of clothes when I could have done that, probably got it down to maybe 30% of that. So each year I've gone, I've started reducing the amount I've taken, right? And so like all you really need, honestly, even if you're going for a week, you just need 2 pairs of pants. You need maybe like the one you're wearing, like jeans, and then another pair. You need maybe 3 or 4 pairs of underwear, maybe 3 or 4 pairs of socks, 3 t-shirts, maybe 2 to 3, and that's it. There's these things that were invented called laundromats that if you really have nasty, stinky clothes, you could go to a laundromat. But honestly, when you're riding, you know, I'm not trying to freaking pick up anybody. I'm married, so I'm not trying to impress anybody. I look at it as like I'm trying to get less weight on the bike. And then a side note, if you're ever packing, roll your clothes. Roll them. Don't lay them flat. You're going to get so much more in it. Okay, next. We'll go into, let's see, riding gear. Okay, so when you're riding, and again, this is all subjective, guys, so everyone's going to be different, but you need one jacket. Again, when I first started, I had 2 jackets. I had a leather and I had a mesh. Why? Why the frick did I do that? I didn't know. So I was thinking, oh, I could have a change of climate. You know, something could happen. So I brought 2 friggin' jackets when you only need 1. Gloves. Maybe 2 to 3 pairs tops. You know, again, depending on the season, if it's cold, you're going to obviously have cold weather gloves. But like right now, I have 2 gloves. I have waterproof ones that I'm actually wearing right now. I don't really need it today because it's beautiful out today. But I always have 1 waterproof and then 1 just normal, like, mesh ones. Boots. You can get a waterproof. I have a pair of waterproof ones, and I also have a pair where I just sprayed down. You know, the waterproof ones are a little bit heavier, but since you don't have to worry about it, obviously, you're going to get, you know, caught in the rain because it's inevitable. No matter what you do, if you ride, you're going to get caught in the rain, which is a segue to my next thing. Bring a rain suit. Yes, they're bulky, they're a pain in the ass, and they suck to put on. But how many times have you actually done long rides and not got caught in the rain? I think of all the times I've gone, it might have happened maybe 3 or 4 times. Most of the time, no matter what, it's inevitable you're going to get hit with rain. So get a good rain suit. A wise man once told me regarding saddlebags and packing, and he said, you can't always fit what you want, but you can fit what you need. And those are true words for sure. And this is kind of a segue to like the motorcycle part of planning a road trip. Is like, what do you need on your motorcycle? I'd highly recommend getting a good set of luggage, right? You don't actually have to have a tour pack. Now, the tour pack makes a huge difference, but if you have a nice set of luggage, you know, a couple pieces, and they sell them all over the place. I have that older set, then I bought a Rick Rack a couple years ago, and I like the Rick Rack, but I really, in hindsight, do I need it? So, like, I have that Rick Rack that goes on top of the tour pack. Now, if I was taking my wife with me on a trip, and she had, you know, because she's probably going to have a ton of clothes, and then I have to teach her this whole thing that I'm talking to you guys about today. But what happened was the first year I had that Rick Rack, there's a reason why the tour packs have like weight guidelines on it. I didn't listen to those the first year, and I overpacked just the Rick Rack part of it, and I didn't do good weight distribution throughout the bike. So throughout, when you're packing, you want to make sure you put your heaviest items in your saddlebags and not in your tour pack for obvious reasons. But here's what happened to me. You know, look, there's a Harley store with a bear on it. We're near Bristol. We're heading to Bristol. We're not near it yet. I think I'm like 100 miles from it. But anyway, I overloaded that with too much stuff. And then what happened was at slow speeds, because I didn't put enough stuff in the saddlebags, my bike, like from 0 to 5 to 0 to 10 miles an hour, was shaking. And I was like, what the hell's going on? And it was because I had too much heavy, so I was bottom heavy. So all I did is once I got to a stop later in that ride, I just moved some stuff around night and day, right? But have a good set of luggage. It's very, very important. This is, again, subjective, and I know I'm a big fan of one because I have some back issues, but I will tell you on long trips, backrest. If you don't have one, get one. I had a buddy of mine that rode a Sportster. He actually rode these things thousands of miles. Dude's badass. But one thing he didn't have is he didn't have highway pegs on that thing. So if you don't have highway pegs, I'd recommend getting a pair. It makes such a huge difference when you can pop your feet up real quick, and because your back over time, once you start doing like 200, 300 miles, you got to move around. GPS or navigation, music choices, different things like that, communication. So if you're going on one of these trips, now if you're going by yourself, you don't necessarily need it, but once you meet up with the people, I'd recommend get a pair of the Cardos or the Cenas so you can communicate. If you have like your spouse with you, it's awesome, where you could talk forever. And if you've got a bunch of friends and connect, and that's a different story if you can actually get connected with the Cenas. This is my opinion. I have a feeling a couple people might agree with this. With GPS, the Harley one, now this is a 2017 model, so the GPS one or the new one might be a little bit better, but this one just blows. I'm not a fan of their navigation, it's just clunky. The interface isn't great, so I have a couple backups. So you always want to have, some type of mapping software. So you use like Google or Waze or Apple Maps, anything you have. The problem with those is you're relying on cell. So unless you download them before and you go through some areas, like if you're in the middle of nowhere and you lose your cell signal, you can't really pull it up. But if you download them first, you can. I also, it's a recommendation. A friend of mine, Harley-Davidson rider, really kind of turned me on to this more. Using maps, actual old style maps, having that as a backup. And I started looking into them, and I ordered a couple from this company called Butler Maps, and they're awesome. They're basically indestructible, but they're designed for like the motorcyclists. With music, get on your music streaming service, whatever you use. I use Spotify. I also have XM through an account I have at home. But I download a ton of playlists right to Spotify, and then that way you always have it. So like I think I have like 100 songs on this phone that I can just crank out. Unfortunately, once you give above 70, you can't hear shit on the stock Harley ones, but you do have it through your helmet. I'm bitter. I'm just bitter. GPS, now freaking speakers. I gotta stop. And I'm not upgrading the speakers or the GPS. I'm gonna stick to it. I'm just whining a little bit. Okay, the last thing is the other, or miscellaneous. And this is one that's very, very important. I actually, even though all of the other four I just talked about, wow, they're important. Those little things, this is more like insurance. These are items, in my opinion, that can fall into that insurance type thing where it's good to have. You're not necessarily going to use it, but if something happens, you have it there to protect you, right? So some of the things I'm talking about, first aid kit. I always carry a first aid kit with me, no matter what, and I've only used it once. But still, I'm glad it wasn't on me, but I used it on a buddy of mine. And then when that happened, there were several of us that all had first aid kits, and he was able to get all ship shape and fixed up because we had some bandages and all those kinds of things. Some other things, insert joke here if you want to, but like a quart of oil. And then get those little paper funnels they sell. You know what I'm talking about? They're flat. You don't have to carry a funnel if like you need to change oil or you need to add oil or anything. Bungee cords. I always have a couple bungee cords just in case. Zip ties. I always bring zip ties no matter what. Tools. Absolutely. And there's some key tools you need. You don't need every freaking tool. You don't have to have a whole tool chest in your saddlebag. But I do the key ones, like the key torque ones that I need, an adjustable wrench, all these different things that I might need for the bike. The fob battery. Always bring an extra fob battery. No matter what. I always change those like once a year, but just bring it just in case. And if you don't, before you leave, please set your manual override in case your fob battery, something happens to it where there's so many people still that don't do that, and then they get stuck and they don't have the code to manually turn on their bike when the fob doesn't work. Some people have this. I've started doing this in my Pan America, but I'm going to start carrying it. I didn't actually do it today, but I'm going to carry it on this bike too. It's just like, I bought one of those no-go chargers. It's probably never going to happen, but if it does, you want to have that peace of mind. If your battery's dead, you could pop that thing on and it's instant charge. You don't have to hook it to anything. It's its own unit. So that's why I got that the compressor. You can get some of that sealant where it fills up a tire. So there's a lot of different things that fall into that other category. Do you need every single one of them? I don't think so. I guess overall, guys, the things that, like, when I was first starting, I didn't know a lot of these things. I just thought, oh my God, it's like normal packing. But it really isn't. You got to streamline a lot of stuff. You only have to take necessities. You want to enjoy your ride, and you don't want to be weighed down with a bunch of stuff. And hopefully these tips and little tricks I taught you were helpful. So give me your thoughts on them. Now I've got, let's see, 160 miles left to go, and then I'm going to be in Tennessee. I'm going to enjoy the rest of this trip. I'm going to crank out some music. Now get out there and ride. Be well, and I'll talk to you guys soon.